Hello and welcome to ProLab Studios. My name is Michael Gallion. I am the Vice President of Business Development and Sales here at Bird Barrier America. We are the leader in innovations and new technologies when it comes to bird control solutions. There are pest birds all over the world that create problems, and there are unique situations that need a very customized solution for each. And one of them is solar panels. So today we're going to talk about the latest innovations in solar panel bird control opportunities. Now, to get started, I'm going to just show a few photos here of the problem. There are many pest control operators out there are very familiar with this problem. Residential bird control, especially, probably half of the problems are either directly related or indirectly related to solar panels that have been installed on the roof of a residence. And from the photos, you can see that nesting and high pressure is just about the only problem you're ever going to have, which is the worst problem that you can have. The birds, specifically pigeons, are always going to be drawn into areas where there are human activities. Now, residents will have food and water as the draw, and then the structures that are nearby, if they can provide a protection from the elements, the birds ideally will nest and begin to reproduce at a high rate because of the opportunity for them to thrive in that setting. So if we look at the actual design of a solar panel, it just so happens that it fits perfectly above a pigeon's head, where it can just comfortably get under the structure, and just enough room to where the solar panel is just above the head of the birds, and its height is almost ideal. If you're going to build a device to attract pigeons, then solar panels and that type of structure is going to be it. So we see this problem is exploding everywhere, because once you solve the problem, you don't actually kill the birds. Most of the residents will agree they don't want to kill off all these birds. They just want them to no longer be under the structures causing the problems around the home. So after a proper solution is done, the birds move away, and most likely they've been conditioned to seek out other unprotected solar panels and repeat the whole process again. So this is sort of the nature of the problem of solar panels and birds. Now, if the birds did not leave so much debris behind, most people would probably not have a problem. They do make a lot of noise, but the downside risk of the solar panel problem with birds include primarily the health concerns from bird droppings that are underneath the panel and then, of course, fall down, go through the drains. Most importantly, though, the dry debris that becomes airborne can be breathed in, and you actually weaken the immune system over time. If you've got an infestation of solar panels, there's the health risk. And especially if that home, in that home are living people that are at high risk. And that would be any infant under the age of 2. Babies are really vulnerable to the germs and the disease factors that are contained in bird droppings, as well as elderly people, people over the age of 65, especially if they have any kind of health issues already that have to do with the respiratory system or their immune system, they're battling cancer or any of these pre-existing conditions, they're especially vulnerable to it. So we've got the health issues as one of the big driving forces. Most residents won't be aware of these. They won't be aware of the health risk. It's more a nuisance. They see that there are droppings all over their property, droppings all over the home, feathers, noise starts to happen. You get a lot of birds up there, and they'll make noise all through the night, depending on where you live and the nature of the windows. If you keep those open at night, you're going to hear a lot of the cooing and the noises that pigeons make, especially. And at first, it all seems nice. children usually like it, and the parents will talk about nesting birds, but it doesn't take long before people get fed up with that issue, with the noise and the debris. So at a certain point, they're going to call someone. And then they should be made aware of really one of the biggest factors in solar, and that is, more times than not, people that are equipped with solar panels are usually leasing these systems now. The idea of buying a complete solar system for your home, the business model of leasing and then capturing the electricity, the power, and then putting it back into the grid and reducing your cost is the most common model. Although there are a lot of people who do buy solar panels. Either way, there are very specific warranties on the equipment, and the solar panel companies that provide this equipment put the responsibility on the homeowner to make sure that while they are leasing the system, that they protect that system from all kinds of problems. If you have, let's say, a lot of trees over your property that have been cut back, obviously, to allow more solar energy to be collected, but these trees grow over, and eventually the trees, maybe branches come down during an ice storm or something like that, and damage occurs. You're going to have to pay for that damage once the lease term is up or they get replaced. Or if they get damaged and they stop working, they need to be repaired. It won't be covered under warranty because you haven't done your job to protect those solar panels. But one of the most common problems of solar panels is these infesting resident birds. That birds take up residency, and by default, any droppings, debris that gets under that panel where it's most critical to the electrical operation, damage can occur. The corrosion of bird droppings can ruin all of the electrical system underneath. It can ruin the surface. The surfaces that collect on top have been treated with special coatings, of course, and durable coatings so that they can be washed and cleaned on a regular basis. But the corrosive nature of droppings, and then, of course, the reduction in power collection. You could get as much as a 50% drop in the efficiency from bird droppings over the surface. And so all of these things combine to be the problem. So now that we understand the core issue of the problem, well, how do we solve solar panel birds? And the answer is, most commonly, the way they're solved is by doing exclusion. Now you take a look at this photo that we have of our traditional PVC mesh. And with bird barrier, we've looked into this industry very carefully, the solar industry, and looked at the warranties and what the requirements are. And one of the key factors that DIY installers or homeowners will fail to understand is that any metal that comes in contact with the solar panel generally will void the warranty. So they will go to a hardware store, buy some, basic hardware cloth or, chicken wire and this sort of thing, and they will screw it right into the edge to try to block out the pigeons this way. Now, some people do a good job and they actually succeed into blocking out pigeons from getting underneath and getting access, but more times than not, unless the right material is used, they underestimate the power of motivated pigeons to get back and reclaim their nesting areas, especially when it's multiple birds, sometimes 30 or 40 birds. When you exclude them from their residence that they've taken hold of, if it's longer than a year or two, they will fight and they will break through that chicken wire, they'll break through hardware cloth. There's a lot of science that goes into the design of what we put up that will come with a warranty that will actually work. Now, when we say metal coming in contact, that's any metal surface coming in contact with any surface of the solar panel can and will void the warranty. And that's why you see on our photo of our PVC mesh, the material that I have here in the studio we'll be talking about, that has a special coating on it, PVC coating over steel very durable, also is approved by the solar industry to make contact with the solar panels. So that is a good thing. That will protect the warranty. We include plastic or PVC clips. They're special materials, UV stabilized plastic materials that are used to clip in place and hold the exclusion material so that it will last for many years. Now, the most common way, including PMPs, that's pest management professionals or bird control people, the majority still will void the warranty by using PVC mesh, but screw self-tapping screws into the outer edge, and that will void the warranty. Again, no metal can come in contact with the solar panel structure of any kind. So the special clips are used to attach it. Now, I'm not going to show the how-to video of installing. If you look at this link that we're providing right now, you can go to Bird Barrier on our YouTube channel, and there's a very good tutorial video to show how to install the solar panel kits and do it properly so that birds don't get in there. Another factor in installing these systems and being able to protect birds, protect the people from the birds and not harm the birds, is to have a really good tight seal against the roof from the top edge of the solar panel, and then also any gaps or breaches so the birds can't get down underneath at any point. So a good properly executed solar panel exclusion job can be expensive if it's done right. It can be less expensive if you do it with a company that does not protect your warranty, and the reality is it's going to be on them. If there's a warranty issue for damage to the solar panels, you can pass that on. If you're a homeowner, you can call the person who installed it. They're going to be liable for the damages to the solar panels. So you will see that doing this properly with the right materials is going to cost more, but it's going to be the right way, and that's what Bird Barrier is all about. We are, again, the leading innovator for solutions. We look at every possible item or aspect to consider for a successful install, and that's why we come up with PVC mesh kits. So the videos that we have are available. Homeowners would be, welcome to be able to actually install these themselves, but it is quite a job. And sometimes the homeowner's insurance does not allow you to get up on the roof and do any kind of work. So you want to hire a certified installer. And of course, Bird Barrier has a network all over the world, and especially in the US, we have plenty of installers that can install these onto your solar panels to protect it from the bird problem. In addition to solving the problem, once it's solved, when you displace resident birds, you're going to have quite a few birds that will linger around because now you've displaced them. They're still going to want to nest on that property. And if there are other areas like roof returns and different sections of the roof, those need to be treated as well to eventually get rid of all the birds from the property. And Bird Barrier has other products that supplement solar panel. And that's another innovation that's come along since we first did solar panels. One of them is optical gel. And you can see a picture of that product right here and the link to where you can get this product. Again, it's something that can be done. A homeowner has permission to do that sort of install. But again, working with bird droppings is hazardous. Hazmat, actually. Bird dropping cleanup is hazmat, so you have to wear proper protection. It would be very safe when dealing with the problem and the mess, especially the nesting when there's a high concentration under the solar panels. So a certified installer is almost always the best way to go. Have somebody come in and do it properly, use the right materials, protect your warranty. Now, since we have these additional innovations that come along, I want to talk about some of the new things that have come about since the beginning when this market started to open up and it was growing enough to make it worthwhile to enter this market. One of the problems that you're going to see out there when you're doing solar panel exclusion work is Spanish tile roofs. And when you get to Spanish tile roofs, the traditional method of being able to go around the actual curves is to actually take, and you have to cut in using snips of like this to actually cut around to create curved cuts. And it's very time consuming to be able to cut these curves, and you have to custom cut them around to really do a nice clean job. And you see here, this is really cumbersome, and I'm going to get this all the way cut through here and show you what it looks like. And you can imagine there are several of these sort of intrusions. Let me get that so where we can see. You imagine cutting these curvatures around. It's going to take a whole lot of time. Now, one of the other things that you'll have involved in using this type of material is also doing these type of cuts. Traditionally, doing the straight cuts, the same sort of problem. I mean, it is time consuming to sit here and cut through all these and cut off a nice straight edge. And rather than do all this time consuming, there's a great new tool. I'm going to show you this tool. This tool is called the Works Cutter. It's used for cutting fabrics and other things, but it has a very interesting blade on it. If you look at this blade, it's actually octagonal. It's an 8-sided blade, very sharp, and it does great work for this type of PVC mesh. I'm going to cut a piece of this right now to show you how easy this is to cut. Just like that, you definitely want to have one of these tools if you're doing solar panel work. They're not expensive. Usually you will wear these things out, but they're very well worth the cost in labor savings. Great tool to have. Check it out at Harbor Freight is where these come from. There are probably others online, but the brand, as you can see, is called Works. You get the idea of what that product is. Cutting this material is big labor part of the job, and you know, that's a big part of the problem in entering this market and doing it right. There are a lot of people, solar panel cleaning companies, for example, that have gotten into doing solar work like this, and without going through certification and really studying it carefully, they'll use the least expensive materials, they'll screw things in, they'll be in and out quickly. Sometimes the birds will come back because they haven't done a great job. They won't understand the cleanup. Even though they know how to clean the surfaces of solar panels, they don't understand how to disinfect, you know, the bird dropping to neutralize the dangerous components that are inside, and that will remain after. Even if you exclude, you're going to have residual debris that's going to cause disease and this sort of problem that you could see from having birds under there. Now, another innovation that Bird Barrier has recently come out with is the Solar Stixx. I'm going to show you this product up close here. And as you can see, it's a very specialized piece of material. And it does have holes all along the top edge where it gets mounted. I'm going to turn it sideways a little bit so you can see the ridges that go down the facing of the piece of equipment. And what it does is it has pins that are able to recess out according to whatever the obstructions are. So I have this piece of material right here in front of me. It just represents a typical sort of obstruction that's going to be in the way that you would have to cut around. And instead, it just sits right over any obstruction, including Spanish tile roofs, the ups and downs of Spanish tile roofs. So this is a great innovation. It's a very clean looking finished product when it's installed, as you can see from the photos that we're showing you right now. These are a great new innovation. Now, they do cost more. Obviously, we compared it to regular PVC mesh. This stuff is not going away anytime soon. We have huge shipments going out every day of this material because of the way birds are constantly infesting. Another option for this that we came out a while back is this product right here. And I'm going to show this because it's still relevant. This is called the exit. Now it looks like, well, you know, how important could this piece be? But if we take a look at this photo, you can see that instead of, you know, cutting, you can put the straight screen all the way across, and then this piece just gets clipped on to fill in the gap underneath where the birds would still get in. This is, you know, is going to be a less expensive way. There's a little more labor compared to the Solar Stixx. Obviously, Solar Stixx is going to be a really quick and easy way to install. Now, getting back to the Solar Stixx, I want to point out one other thing about that particular product, and that is, again, you see the holes that are in the product, and most people think, well, I'm just going to screw that into the solar panel, going to screw that in, and actually that's not at all what you're going to do. Basically, what you're going to do is put a bead of silicone removable adhesive, or even better, Bird Barrier has a double stick tape that will be placed on this and can be easily peeled off and then applied to the solar panel right along the edge of the solar panel, and it holds for years. Really good double stick adhesive that's going to be included with the Solar Stixx.
Hey Michael, we got a quick question for you if you don't mind. For the solar panel, just general installation, how much of a company's time on the job and the overall cost is attributed to labor?
That's a great question. So, you know, Zach is fielding live questions as we go. This is a live broadcast that, of course, we've recorded now for you. And the question had to do what percentage of cost is labor. And many times it is about 30 to 40% the cost of solar, especially as you get into higher quality. The higher quality proper use, you're not going to have nearly as much profit because it's so competitive out there with other companies entering the market and, you know, offering lower cost and having all these solar panels that are being installed and damaged improperly. It's still very competitive part of it, but about 30 to 40% of your cost of materials is going to be what it takes to be able to be competitive with selling these jobs. And as a matter of fact, the average home, there seems to be a threshold. And this is definitely in the West here in California where we are based. It may vary to a certain degree, but not very much from what I hear all across the country. The threshold is absolutely about $2,000. Once you have a solar system that's going to require more than $2,000 to exclude birds, you start getting problems with the homeowner not wanting to spend that much money, looking at cheaper options, and then not really understanding what it takes to do it properly. Now, one of the tools that's used commonly also are the J-hook clips. And we'll show a photo of the J-hook clip. This does have metal on it, but they are so widely used in the industry that Bird Barrier does offer these as a less expensive clip system to clip the PVC mesh on to the solar panels. But again, we warn that these could void the warranty. Since so many competitors, and even on Amazon and all these other places, it's probably about 70% of solar panels are using these J clips that hold the mesh on. Those are available at Bird Barrier to keep things competitive for those of you who are agreed to, you know, get a waiver sign off when you're installing it. You show the customer what that is. Give them the choice. That's the most important thing. Tell them, look, it's going to cost a little more to use the proper material. We can save money by using these J-hook clips. To our knowledge, we haven't seen too many people have any issues with these. They do a good job. They generally don't transfer oxidation or rust, which is really one of the big concerns that solar panel companies have with it. But the average cost is about $1,500 for you to sell a system. Now, there are jobs that sell for $600. There are jobs that sell for $5,000. It just depends on each home. Some homes have an extensive solar array, and some of them have multiple small sections all placed apart from each other. They're not contiguous as one big solar array. So those cost more. They have to be dealt with as several smaller solar panel jobs all on the same roof. So do we have any other questions that have come in, Zach?
Yeah, so one other one is, do you need any type of certification work? Do you need to apply to do this type of work? Or is it just kind of like I can do it on my own?
Great question. Yeah, what does it take to be qualified to actually do this work? And the answer, actually, at least in the state of California, you don't need a license to do any kind of bird control work, and homeowners themselves can do these. So no, you don't need any special requirement, because in the state of California, for example, and many other states, bird deterrent systems are just add-ons to an existing structure. They don't require a contractor's license, because you're not doing any real modification. You're just adding something to the home that's needed to solve a problem. Some states, though, like Hawaii, if you're going to do any kind of bird exclusion work and charge for it, you need to have a pest control license. So you have to check with each state, check with your local authorities. In general, homeowners, they get to do any type of work to their home like this, regardless. Just if you do this sort of work, one of the big warnings that you have to be consider of doing this work is that you want to wear proper breathing protection. You want a proper HEPA filter over your face. You want to cover your eyes completely, not just safety glasses. You want to have sealed eye protection, because the debris and the spores from birds, the debris they leave behind, can get into your bloodstream through your eyes, through your nose, through your ears, through your mouth. Put it on your hands, eat food, transfer that way. There are a lot of ways those spores get into your bloodstream, and they can really give you a serious health issue. People get histoplasmosis, which is a terrible affliction that will last for a year and weakens your immune system. You have to be very careful. Another one is with OSHA, we'll explain safety reports every year. Most injuries that cause death are false, and it doesn't have to be that high. Rooftops are one of the biggest dangers for homeowners, getting up on rooftops. I know I get up on my roof. I'm very careful when I get up on rooftops. I've been trained proper ladder access, but believe me, you've got to be very careful. If you're a really rugged do-it-yourselfer, obviously you should do stuff like that. That's the way that I always have been. Sweat equity, do it myself, but do it with the right materials, and that's what we're providing here, the latest technologies that help you to solve this problem properly. Any other questions out there, Zach?
Yeah, one last one for you. You kind of touched on it already, but I think more people are curious about it. What kind of mistakes do you see new installers mess up the most with?
Oh, great question. What are the mistakes? Well, one of the biggest mistakes is thinking that this is a gold rush opportunity. That's the biggest mistake, most common. People jump into solar and they go in there and they're thinking they're going to make all this money doing tons of jobs. Now, not to say there aren't very successful companies and this is all they do. Rarely is it, though, that there's a company that just does solar panel bird solutions. They generally are an offshoot off of general solar maintenance. Now, you got to just think about it logically. Solar panels need to be cleaned. They have to be cleaned on a regular basis, and it depends on where you live. But solar panels need to be cleaned to maximize the efficiency. So in other words, if you spend, let's say, $50 to have somebody clean each month, and you gain $75 in power output of benefits, well then that return on investment is wise. You're going to get an extra $25 bonus every month by having somebody clean. It's usually not that common. It depends. Some places are just next to places where there's constant dust being kicked up. Sometimes it's just temporary construction, but when birds get involved, it can be nonstop. basically birds can render a solar array unprofitable. It's costing more to pay for the each monthly because the efficiency of solar collection has gone down so much from birds. Now, we don't see that too often on residents. And when we get into commercial properties where solar kits aren't used, but more large-scale solutions are used, there can be a lot of money involved in a big warehouse with a massive solar array on it, and it loses 10% efficiency. That could be a lot of money. And by spending, let's say, $10,000 to solve the problem, they'll recoup that money in just a few months in the power output recovery. So the offshoot of this, of people that are mostly the low price, providers of bird control services for solar panels, are solar cleaning companies. That's why we reach out. We hope that a lot of solar cleaning companies watch this podcast, because they're going to be enlightened on how to do things to protect themselves, to protect the homeowners from damage to the solar panels, and then of course do this in a way that they can actually promote the fact that all the products used by Bird Barrier, if they're Bird Barrier certified, they are approved by the Humane Society as a proper approach, a humane method for solving bird problems. And that can go a long way in your marketing program. You want to market that you're using Bird Barrier certified, and do it with pride, because a lot of homeowners really do care about the what happens to these birds. Now, it's not just birds, though. I should mention that a lot of times there are squirrels or other creatures that seem to get under solar panels. So any protection like this that's done properly with a rugged system, a system that comes with a good warranty, is worthwhile to protect your home. There are a lot of secondary problems that can spin off that come from the solar panel bird problem. Any other questions on this, Zach? That was it as far as the questions. Now, as with every podcast, we post these. They go out on all kinds of social media, so we're really interested in what comments you might have. If you have any questions about what you've seen here today, put them in the comments below. Just ask questions, whether it's on Instagram or on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever you're watching this, this presentation. Be sure to get back to us with any questions or additional comments that you have. We look forward to helping you solve bird control problems, and if there are any other specific problems that you know of that are out there in the world of solving birds for solar, let us know. One of the great marketing opportunities there is, and as far as other mistakes that happen, I've already talked quite a bit about using the wrong materials. Of course, that is the most common mistake after you kind of don't understand the business model. But I think another mistake is not including cleaning services. If you're coming at this from the other direction, you want to include the cleanup, right? The cleanup is critical on your first install, but you should look for a recurring revenue. If you're doing solar panel exclusion, it doesn't take a whole lot of work, a whole lot of materials to get into the market of cleaning solar panels. We'll include another link to a sister company, J. Racenstein, that provides all of the equipment needed to clean solar panels. And the best marketing network that I see with this is to make sure you leave behind cards or even door hangers, because when you do one solar panel residential job in a neighborhood and you do a good job, the word of mouth will spread. Most importantly, the excluded birds go to the other panels. And while you are there finishing up, walk that neighborhood. If you're up on the roof, look around before you get down off of that roof at the other homes, because when you exclude those birds, that's where those birds are likely going to go. If there aren't birds under there already, this flock will just relocate. And in general, people don't mind that. You'd be amazed at how much they don't want to harm the birds. They don't want to kill the birds. Now the birds go to another neighbor, and you can refer on that door hanger, you can refer to the address that you treated. Say, hey, I was just at 1151 Maple, if you go over and take a look, we solved their bird problem. Look at the solar panels on their roof. You'll notice we use exclusion material. We're certified to do it properly. Give us a call, and you'll get calls that way. There will be a lot of them. Another good idea with this part of the business model is to have a recurring revenue but referral program. One of the best programs that I've seen is when you get good at doing these solar installs, then you evolve to include cleanup, and you go in every quarter. Usually it's every 3 months solar panels will need to be cleaned. If your client refers you to another, they get 1 year of free cleaning. Now, why this was so effective is that you're going to be going back to the neighborhood anyway. The cleaning, most of the cost of these cleanups has to do with the travel, insurance, all these other things. Another thing is that there is equipment that you can use to clean solar panels without getting up on a ladder. There are tools that are made for you to be able to do cleanup from the ground and bring the solar panel right back to its maximum efficiency from the ground. And that's equipment worth investing in. So imagine every time you're referring, you're getting more people, but while you're out in that neighborhood doing multiple cleanups, but gaining more and more customers and be known as the professional that does proper solar exclusion. And that's where we see companies that have 2 or 3 vans, and they will install on average 2 to 3 installs per day with each crew. Each crew will have about 2 or 3 members that do that work. So you figure 3 technicians working together, going to 3 different homes, charging $1,500 to $2,000 for each install, doing that every day through the weekends, 7 days a week sometimes. It can really add up. That part of it, of the world, can be profitable. High-end luxury homes, those are the best opportunities for the most profit because they do want it done right. They have the money to spend. And that's where we expect this new innovation, the Solar Stixx. This is going to probably factor in because it's such a clean looking, simple, efficient system for solar panels. And the homeowners of these high-end homes really want everything dialed in properly. They invest heavily in making their home as top-notch as possible for resale value and obviously for comfort of living. Okay, that's it for Solar Innovations 2024. This is the latest update on things that will help you improve your opportunities to do bird control for solar panel opportunities. My name is Michael Gallion. Zach Weiss is our producer, and we look forward to helping you in the future. Come back to ProLab anytime. If you have suggestions for other podcast subjects, let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next.